Hey, Tim, it's Adam calling from Georgia. How's it going?
Again, we've had better weeks, Adam, but how you doing?
We've had better weeks, but I just, I'll be very brief. I just wanted to share, I guess, what is a theory of mine and get your and Matt's opinion. In my opinion, after really reflecting on this, I think that Carol Folt wants USC to become Stanford or like a Cal Berkeley. I think she wants to celebrate all of the championships that all of the sports at our school win. She wants there to be parity in the funding towards those sports. That's why you hear Jen Cohen, for example, talking about, women's beach volleyball and other sports, which I could less about. I do not think she is invested, President Folt is invested in the football program. I think if Jen Cohen is following Folt's direction, that's a problem. If Jen Cohen is acting independently, then this NIL mess that has been created is her fault. But either way, I don't like the direction that USC is going in because I don't believe that they are prioritizing the football program. And I have to say, Tim, I really blame the Board of Trustees. They have made bad decision after bad decision, whether it was Lynn Swan, Pat Hayden, Clay Helton, and Carol Folt, and Jen Cohen. And I think USC football is in for a really difficult future because you can talk about how great the facilities are all you want, but do you have the millions that you're going to dedicate to this program and prioritize football to make it a national championship team? I don't think that's happening. I think Folt's priorities are elsewhere, and I'd love to get your thoughts.
I'll dive in first. A lot of the stuff you just named on that list had nothing preceded Carol Folt and definitely Jen Cohen's run here at USC. I've heard that for a long time from fans, the fact that the university cares more about the school than the football program. Because yes, Adam, that's their job. Look, USC has a football program. A football program doesn't have a school. You know what I mean? Like I believe you're an alumnus. I'm a proud two-time alumnus of USC. I'm very proud of the university. It's made great strides. And if you're trying to become like a Stanford, again, on the field, I can't stand the Cardinal. But Stanford University, I think most presidents would love to be at Stanford University. Their endowment is insane. Their number, it's Stanford. So if we're going to argue, am I against a college president wanting to model their university or aspiring to be the level of a Stanford? I don't really have a lot of problem with that. I do hear your point, though, as a fan. So the fan side of this thing is Stanford does not invest in its football program. That's very clear. Jim Harbaugh brought a lot of success there with his brand of football. A lot of, I say it all the time, smartest guys on the field are usually offensive linemen, and Stanford built a really good program, again, about getting a lot of really smart offensive linemen to come and quarterbacks to come to their school. So I would say that I think it's too much of a cop-out because you could have both. I don't think that they sit back and say, hey, let's sandbag our football programs, because they're not mutually exclusive. You could have a great football program and a great university. So, Matt, I don't really know how to answer Adam's question. I would say this. Again, a lot of stuff you talked about happened before they got here. One. Two, I think that both of them have been on record. Well, I know that Jen Cohen has the football program at the lead. You're questioning if Folt does. Folt went out and hired, because she signed off on it, $100 million Lincoln Riley. That sounds to me like she's pretty serious about winning in football. So actions speak louder than words. And for her to go out there and sign the check to pay the buyout for Lincoln Riley, which I heard was also very large, give him a huge contract, give him the coaching staff that he needs behind him. Those aren't the actions of somebody that's not serious about football. Matt, I'd love to hear your thoughts on it.
Yeah, I mean, there are very tangible things that have been done to support football. And Tim mentioned hiring Lincoln Riley. He mentioned hiring of the defensive staff. Those are legitimate achievements and tangible forward-moving hires. Let's also keep in mind that Carol Folt hired Mike Bone, and he's the guy who helped deliver Lincoln Riley. He also hired Lindsey Gottlieb. He made some good hires. And By the way, on the chat on Wednesday, 2 days ago, saw some people saying Mike Bohn was fired for no reason. Stop. He behaved inappropriately toward women. Now, not necessarily anything that would be called a crime, but you can't have that, right? And it's really unfortunate because Mike Bohn, like one of the AD's central jobs is to hire really good coaches, and Mike Bohn hit the ball out of the park in that regard. He hired great coaches, and you know what? It sucks that Mike Bohn had to leave, but he did have to leave. So I mean, that was brutal for USC. I would also say, and Adam, this is where we can be critical of Carol Folt. You know whom she should have hired? And I talked about this at the time at Trojans Wire. We didn't talk about it on the show a whole lot, but Brandon Sosna. Brandon Sosna would have been at the top of my list for AD replacements for Mike Bohn because he was Mike Bohn's right-hand man, and people will tell you that he really was the guy who did the legwork to bring Lincoln Riley. So I mean, Bohn got credit for the hire, deservedly, but like Sosna as Bohn's assistant had a lot to do with that. And Sosna went to the Detroit Lions. Guess who had a really good NFL season last year? The Lions. They came really close to the Super Bowl. So Brandon Sosna, he knows what he's doing. And I thought Jen Cohen was a good hire. I didn't think it was a grand slam home run, but I thought it was a good hire. She was at Washington when Chris Peterson made the college football playoff, and she hired Kalen DeBoer. After the Jimmy Lake disaster, like she learned from a mistake that she made. So I thought the Cohen hire was good. So I'm not going to say I didn't like the hire, but I did think that Brandon Sosna would have been a great choice at USC, and we're really missing that Bohn-Sosna combination in my mind because they were cutthroat. They knew how to go for the brass ring, and I think USC's missing that. And I think that Jen Cohen. Now, Adam, you wanted me to write about Jen Cohen. I wrote about her, so I'm interested in your thoughts. But I think that there is a sense, and I think you're onto something. Like I think that Carol Folt wants to win, but she wants to do it respectably, right? She wants to keep her white gloves on. This is a gloves off moment for USC. USC has to get in the mud, all right, and be willing to fight dirty. Not necessarily, casting all ethics aside, but like being extremely aggressive. That's what I mean. Just slug it out, bare knuckles. Forget the Marquis of Queensberry rules. And I think there is a sense that Folt and Cohen, they want to win, but they want to do it the right way. Oh, I don't think USC should do it the wrong way. I don't think USC should do it the wrong way. But you go into the gray areas and you play aggressive, and that's what USC has to do with NIL.
Matt, you can't say that anymore. Every Trojan fan on the planet will come at your throat if you even if not your words, if you just say win the right way. Every fan in Southern California and across the country is going to come at you. Don't say the win the way, because that's what got us into what we had for 6 years was winning the right way and not fighting for what's right. So,
I'm not saying that's the way USC should do it. I'm saying that's the way it kind of feels like right now, and the gloves have to come off.
What's up, Adam?
And Matt, I'll briefly say that in a nutshell is the problem. When I say Folt wants to be like Stanford and Berkeley, I'm not talking about academics. I'm talking about how he wants to spread the money around for athletics and does not prioritize the football team. And if Cohen is acting under Folt's direction, then why did we even hire her? If she's acting independently and furthering that purpose, that is a problem. And again, I blame the Board of Trustees. We have had a litany of bad choices from Max Nikias to Lynn Swan to Clay Helton to Pat Hayden. And I would argue in some respects to Lincoln Riley, although he deserves credit and I want to give him a chance. But if you look at Folt's pedigree at Dartmouth and UNC Chapel Hill, she didn't prioritize athletics at all. When she came here, she prevented Urban Meyer from being hired and left us with Clay Helton for 2 more miserable years. And neither Cohen nor Folt were prepared to deal with NIL. I don't want to hear any more about how great the facilities are. We need to be competitive with the Georgias, the Alabamas, the LSUs, and we're not. And why is that? because they are not prioritizing the football program. And I am going to be the person on this program who says Carol Folt should be fired and Jen Cohen should be fired, because what you're going to see in the next few years is more of the same. If you want to go to the Big Ten, you better have the money and the wherewithal to compete in the Big Ten. And as we saw with the defection of these two offensive linemen, they don't. Folt is wrong for USC. And at UNC, she was asked to leave early, and she was not liked. And Jen Cohen is in way over her head, and they are a continuation of mediocre hires that have caused USC football to become an afterthought rather than a championship contender, and they should both be fired.
All right. Listen, we appreciate everybody's opinion. I share, as always.
Thanks for taking my call, guys.
Thank you, Adam. As always, we and I will disagree. I appreciate you calling. I appreciate you that you feel passionate. You back your comments up. But I just, again, it's a lot bigger than losing two defensive linemen. Carol Folt's job that she's done as a whole for the university, for everything. You look at the big picture, and losing a couple of defensive linemen from Georgia. By the way, that more and more I slept on this. You know, these guys, I mean, come on. They're young people. They made a spur of them. They came out, they saw LA. You know, who knows? They got wined and dined. They got excited. So, yeah, man, hey, look, we can go together. We can come here together, have a great time. And then as the months go by, as Kirby Smart and Georgia and Alabama start to talk to the family members, the numbers start changing a little bit, question marks, maybe even some recruiting on their part. They went to an official at Georgia. Then we start picking up, by the way, some 4-star. We have our own stud in this class. Oh my God, how am I blanking on his name? But, you know, it's weird that the decommitting came a week after. We have Gus Cordova and Matt. I'm blanking out. Who's the 4-star defensive end we just picked up? Stud, like a little right before he decommitted. These things are fluid, you guys. And I don't think we can blame the president of the university for it. I know, Matt, where you're going to go in a second here. Ultimately, I believe I know where you're going to go. Ultimately, you talked about it on Wednesday. Ultimately, the state of USC's NIL, and I think Jen Cohen, if she were asked to speak on it, is ultimately her responsibility. This is an AD thing. This is a big picture structural thing. That's not just some periphery thing now, especially the way it's all changing. This is absolutely about the athletic department, and it should be a number one thing, because really the number one competitive thing is holding USC back right now.
Well, Tim, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
If you were trying to sell a 5-star recruit on USC, given our NIL mess, what I believe are false priorities that are other than football, what would you say to them that's going to compete with Georgia, Ohio State, and Alabama? And I would say nothing. I think she should be fired. I think Cohen is in over her head and should be fired. And the recent mess with the NIL is a testament to that. But I don't want to take any more of your time because I know you have other callers. Always great talking to you guys, and I appreciate that you listen. And
Adam, I wrote about Cohen. Did you read the piece?
I read your article, and it was outstanding, and I really appreciate it. I thought it was excellent. Yeah.
Okay. Just want to make sure, because you wanted it, and I gave it to you.
You asked me what Jen Cohen has done that would make us competitive with Georgia. Raul, by the way, you guys, if you're not checking out this stuff, Light the Torch podcast, I don't know why you're not. You're missing out. This is what she's doing. She didn't hire Lincoln Riley, but she gave Lincoln Riley the defensive staff to be competitive with Georgia. Okay, I'm gonna put it that way. Kirby Smart is what he's done at Alabama and at Georgia. I mean, what he's done in his career. He's just that guy. You know, and if you're a defensive lineman, that's what was so shocking. It wasn't that we beat Georgia for a recruit. We beat Georgia for a highly prized defensive linemen from the state of Georgia. And now we're throwing a fit because they didn't stick and blaming everybody. I don't know what else they can do. Are you not happy with Coach Henderson hire? Because everyone was singing Coach Henny, a couple months ago. All of a sudden, 2 Georgia kids decide to stay in the SEC, most likely, or go to Ohio State, whatever the situation is. And all of a sudden, we just forgot who we've hired. I know we need to see what they do on the field this year, but I'm still going to stand by the fact what Lincoln Riley said at the end of the season, that he was going to put everything into making an elite defense. They have done. They've shown what they're doing. I don't know why you're saying they're not doing that.
Guys, listen, I don't mean to interrupt you. The reception has again kind of gotten so that I can't understand anything you're saying. So I'll listen on the video and I'll leave it here. But again, I think they should both be fired. I think the direction of SC is going towards mediocrity, and the last 12 years are a testament to that. And I think it's wrong. But again, I can't understand you, so I'll just let.
All right, Adam. We'll catch you later. All right, so we're losing Adam. That's fine. All right, so we're gonna move on. But yeah, when you do listen to this, Adam, I guess if you could, maybe in the comment section, I'll read it. Let me know what USC is not doing, because again, hiring $100,000 coach away from Oklahoma, going there and getting Dan Lynn, who is going to be an amazing defensive coordinator, getting a Coach Henne, from the Rams to cover one of the most vital positions. If we're going to win national champions, it's going to be just like every great team we've had here from the McKay eras all the way up through Pete Carroll, all the way up even really into this past decade. When we've had solid defenses, it's been up front. It's been like, a big guy like a Sean Cody or Leonard Williams, or going back to the original Wild Bunch and then Wild Bunch 2 under Pete Carroll. USC, when we win national championships, I know that the Heisman Trophy winners get all the accolades, but USC's won their they won their national championships on the backs of offensive and defensive lines. And I think any one of those skilled players will tell you that, if they want to be truly honest, because in front of every one of those great running backs we've had Hall of Fame, either college or NFL Hall of Fame level, or multi-year Pro Bowl, all pro offensive linemen that go and play in the NFL for decades in front of them. And every good offense has always had a really amazing defense behind them. For it's going to back in with the Ronnie Lawson, Troy Polamalu's, or you're going to be from the Big Cat Williams, like I talked about Sean Cody. There's always these dudes, right? And that's what USC is investing in right now, is getting these trenches right. And so I'm pretty shocked that you think that USC is not moving in the right direction. Is it happening as fast as fans want it? Heck no, we want to win, right? But they're making the changes they need to make. And I'm failing to see what USC is not doing, except for why are we not more competitive in NIL? That's what I really want to know.